May 15th, biweekly cleanup at Kelly and Vince Scott's place up in Park City. Starting with this middle circle, we did our typical weeding, pruning, raking for debris, and then trying to fluff the soil. It is very, very compact right now. It would require a rototiller to kind of uplift it all. So, I mean, honestly, a really good layer of compost or some very organic, rich soil could help this area out profusely. So I don't think it's irrigated, so that could be nice, just something we think about, but it also doesn't look bad. It's just really dry, so it ends up being a little bit different when we try to rake it. But we took back a lot of the hyacinth and trying to determine what's a weed and what's a piece of grass, what's going to flower, what's not. Trying to level out the soil, keep things clean and tidy along the edge. And once again, going back into the grasses, they're pretty much ready for the growing season now. We removed like 100% of the dead or old pieces in it. And we're working on cleaning up the front right now because there were some painting going on, so it's a little bit different. All of this was blocked off. But we were able to get to the planters, which I showed off in a separate video to Sarah. They just have 1, 2, 3, a few little bulbs in each of them. And the pansies are kind of so-so right now. After removing the winter items. So as you can see, there's just a few of them. A few in each of them. But we got all the way around where the snow had melted, as it was pretty covering this whole area last time. Raking for debris, weeding, really fluffing that soil as best we could. The grass is all ready. Picking up dead pieces out of the Russian sage was important. Stuff like that all day long. Making sure it's all in one piece. We still have a lot of bulbs that have yet to bloom, the alliums. Over in here, there's still a little bit of the ground cover exposed, but I know this ground cover plant is going to cover the cloth in no time. But if it doesn't, we'll consider cutting some back. Over here, same deal. We've got peonies popping up, lots of pink hyacinth. The daffodils are still doing fine. Nicely raked soil. And let's see, we got underneath the tree rings to reach the dead pieces out, but we didn't necessarily fluff in there. So maybe we can get in those next time. Nice, getting this all cleaned up. We were able to fluff all the way and clean up to here. Yep, raked through. We spent some time getting rid of this very weedy grass that has insane roots along the sedum, as we really want this to be like the focal point coming over the rocks. As you can see down further along, kind of everything everywhere right now. We also got up on the higher area. No, I'll loop back for that as we did some work along the driveway. But we were able to clarify the space between mulch and the wild yard, and that really just helps a lot here. There's also some weeding, but the edging was pushed back where it needed to be. Weeded through here, really fluffing and turning over the soil and the mulch.
I think it is.
Yeah, that alarm's been going off all day long. That's pretty nuts. Tried to hide the wiring or whatever this is as best as possible with the mulch and kind of raked up everything again. Blew all of the surfaces out, fluffed and weeded through the soil, pruned back this shrub. It was getting just a little irregular and had some dead bits. Pardon me. So the bamboo lattice on the back here is bent, and so is the tree. That's kind of how it is now, and since it's a moose tree, I don't think it's the biggest deal. We're not going for aesthetics. But Otherwise, we raked through and weeded this area for the moose. Things look like there's new growth coming. Blew all of this out. Just barely had to weed. There's not much going on up here. Just picking up the dead pieces out of the plants from that last storm, raking through all of the lovely mulch, and then weeding some very sneaky weeds and grasses all along the sedum on either side. They had the eco lawn people come in and spray the noxious weeds, so we didn't really do anything to the yard space today like we did last time. But all this is blown out and really thoroughly weeded, and debris removed. There was peanut debris from the birdies. We saw a woodpecker at lunch, so that's who they're feeding, but we picked up the loose shells. This is all super beautiful. We left the vine flowers because tended to them last time and they're doing just fine, and we are avoiding all of the rocks that are falling off over there too. Okay, all of this was nicely blown off. And then the planters over here are kind of so-so. I know the grasses are always touchy and it takes some time, but the lower level is beautiful, or the upper level of the rock wall, but you know, this, I don't know if that's going to make a comeback. We'll see. These two specifically are just rough looking, whereas these beds are quite nice. We've got a little more length on them, and then weeding and fluffing all the way through along this upper layer that we love. But yeah, this is something to keep her on. We may have to just replace that when they start spending time out here if it's really not coming back. So that would be like one of the blue grasses. I've got the yarrow looking beautiful, the iris coming up. We took the dead out of the broken Russian sage, fluffed, weeded, and then we took note. Somebody had cleaned up the leaves. I don't think we got to clean up the leaves last time from this area, but we will continue to make sure that this looks nice and clean. The little vegetable garden that she's starting over there, when we cleaned off the pathway. Okay, and then last time we got into the side rock wall. Today we didn't do that as much. We focused on the left side of the driveway, and then all the way at the end we were able to tend to the beginning, the entrance beds on either side of the driveway. So I'll just show from this angle, pardon our belongings, but all of the pine cones and old dead weeds have been removed, or old winter kill. And the big things through here, we definitely have mullein popping up, starting to sprout up. I wish I could fast forward to the end of the driveway. But I did note that there's quite a bit of moss growing, wild moss, kind of along the road in these areas. It's got this nice lime green growth on it. So if we ever need a little moss for any reason at this property, this would be the spot. On both sides, actually. There's a little bit over here too. But up here, we tidied up the grasses, raked through for debris, just a light weeding. There's honestly just lots of grass and clover. Clover's really popping off over here. But fluffing as best we could. It is very compact, you know, impenetrable in some areas. So I would also recommend a layer of compost for these beds if we really care to do something a little extra with them. You know, they are kind of natural, but they are irrigated. It's definitely an irrigation system here in place. A lot of old hyacinths we pulled up. Some still in bloom. The daffodils looking great. But we did discover it is basically mucky right around and I kind of recall it being extremely wet in the fall as well. So I'd say if we visit